If you've been gardening for a while, you already know earthworms are your best underground partners. They loosen compacted soil, improve water infiltration, recycle organic matter, and leave behind worm castings that are basically nature's most balanced fertilizer. The challenge for many gardeners, though, is how to get more of them working in your soil without spending a fortune on worm bins or fancy soil treatments. The truth is, earthworms aren't fussy. Give them the right food and habitat, and they'll show up in numbers you didn't think possible. Today I'm going to share 2 specific things that will attract earthworms like crazy, and I'll also walk you through how to use them effectively in your garden so you can build a thriving soil ecosystem. Adding organic matter is the fastest way to call in earthworms. Earthworms thrive where there's food, and their food of choice is decomposing organic matter. The more steady supply you provide, the more worms will move in and multiply. Compost, grass clippings, shredded leaves, and even old garden trimmings are all fair game. But the key is balance. If you dump on too much green material like fresh grass clippings, you risk creating a slimy, smelly mess that drives worms away. A better ratio is about 3 parts brown material, such as dried leaves, straw or shredded cardboard, to 1 part green material. That's the sweet spot where decomposition happens steadily without overheating or turning anaerobic. For example, if you have a raised bed measuring 4 feet by 8 feet, adding a wheelbarrow full of shredded leaves mixed with 1 small bucket of grass clippings every couple of weeks will steadily feed worms without overwhelming the system. As the organic matter breaks down, worms move through it, eating, digesting, and leaving nutrient-rich castings behind. Another practical tip is to bury small amounts of kitchen scraps directly into the soil instead of tossing them on the surface. A handful of fruit and vegetable peelings buried 6 inches deep will decompose at a comfortable pace, safe from pests, and worms will find it quickly. Over time, if you rotate where you bury scraps, you'll notice worm activity spreading across your garden bed. Keeping your soil moist and cool creates a perfect worm habitat. Feeding worms is only half the story. To keep them around, you need to make the environment livable. Earthworms breathe through their skin, which means they require moisture. Dry soil is like a desert to them, and they'll either burrow deep out of reach or simply vanish from your beds. On the flip side, soggy, waterlogged conditions suffocate them. The goal is a soil that stays evenly damp, like a wrung-out sponge. The simplest way to achieve this balance is with mulch. A 2 to 3 inch layer of straw, shredded leaves, or even partially finished compost on top of your beds helps regulate soil temperature, lock in moisture, and protect worms from predators. If you're gardening in a hot climate, mulch can actually lower soil temperatures by as much as 10 degrees, which is often the difference between having an active worm population and, well, one that just disappears during peak summer heat. Take a raised bed as an example again. If you water deeply once or twice a week, making sure the moisture penetrates 8 to 10 inches, and then keep the soil surface covered with mulch, you'll create the exact conditions earthworms love. They'll stay near the surface where they can reach the organic matter you've provided instead of retreating deep into the soil to escape heat or dryness. Over time, you'll notice worm tunnels crisscrossing through your beds, which is a clear sign that they feel at home. Gardeners in cooler, wetter regions may not need as much mulch, but maintaining steady conditions still matters. If your soil tends to get waterlogged, add compost regularly to improve drainage and aeration. Worms won't survive long in compacted clay or flooded conditions, so improving structure is just as important as moisture management. When you combine a steady supply of balanced organic matter with consistently moist and cool soil conditions, worms will flock to your garden. They'll multiply naturally, creating a self-sustaining workforce that saves you money on fertilizers and keeps your soil healthier year after year. It doesn't take complicated techniques or expensive inputs. It's about consistency, feeding them regularly, protecting their habitat and letting nature do the rest. Right, so start small by adding shredded leaves and a light layer of compost to your beds this week. Keep the soil covered with mulch, water it deeply, and bury kitchen scraps in different spots every few days. Within a month, you'll see worm activity increase, and by the next season, your soil will feel looser, darker, and far more fertile. These two steps alone, organic matter and moisture management, are enough to transform your garden into a worm paradise. And here's the thing. Once the worms arrive, they don't just stick around quietly. They turn your soil into a living, breathing ecosystem that improves itself with every passing season. You'll notice healthier crops, fewer drainage issues, and a garden that practically takes care of itself. If you found this guide helpful, make sure to subscribe for more hands-on gardening tips, and don't forget to share this video with fellow gardeners who want to boost their soil life. The more of us who build healthy soil, the better our gardens and our harvests will be.